Pecha Kucha 112, Sabretooth Reborn, and Batman Superman Siege. So I know I'm just talking about another couple of comics this week, but I did do work, I just haven't got any room to talk about it. These two comic books, I want to go deep on them, but there's only 20 images, and even that's not enough. But before that, I was randomly watching anime because YouTube just suggested it, so I watched Vampire Hunter D. It was very simple, the art style of its time, interesting premise. I'm giving no synopsis, but it's my kind of thing. I was watching Castlevania stuff, so this just kind of came up. And then I saw Vampire Hunter D, Bloodlust, which was clearly made 20 years later, and I think it was made by the Ninja Scroll team. I think Ninja Scroll is a bloody good anime movie. And I think Vampire Hunter D, Bloodlust is too. I thoroughly enjoyed it, right up my alley. Then I saw Afro Samurai because that was suggested to me too. It's cool, it's not as cool as it thinks it is, but it is cool. It's an interesting premise. It's badly explained, but it could make sense. It's just, it could go either way. Yes, good stuff, good stuff. Samuel L. Jackson is never a bad thing, right? Afro Samurai 2 Resurrection, oh dear. -5 stars. The plot actually contradicts the previous movie. This is a cash grab. There's no other logical way to put it. Entertaining to a point, but it's a very low point. If you're 12, you probably still dig it though. Right, so anyway, Wolverine, Sabretooth Reborn. Another comic book picked up from the library just to see what's up. I don't know if I'm a Wolverine fan anymore, and let that colour everything I say going forward. Simone Bianchi. I need to try and remember the name of the artist because I'm going to bring him up again. So it's called Sabretooth Reborn, and the bad guy's name is Romulus. He threatens Cloak and Dagger, and he's got this convoluted plan and this whole master race thing going on. He thinks he should be the top dog, and he has a sister called Remus. They both have mutant healing factors, at least as good as Wolverine's. They both claim to be immortal, and both of them are not Sabretooth. This is one of my problems with this story. It's not actually about Sabretooth, it's about some people that Wolverine doesn't remember he used to know. It's a lot of revisionist history, but Sabretooth does show up for a few pages of his own story. And as he shows up with a bunch of Sabretooth clones, even though, as he clearly states, I'm the real deal. He is the real Sabretooth, and he's as irrelevant as he's ever been. Maybe more so, because, they throw him in with the mix. And not only does Wolverine have to fight a bunch of clones, some of the artwork is cloned. On the right-hand side, you'll notice those two Sabretooth images have just been mirrored. But the background hasn't. I can't explain to you what's going on here, but I feel there's a laziness that goes through this comic. And this is just one of those examples. The narration. Wolverine is narrating this comic. On this page, he uses his trademark, I'm the best at what I do line, while simultaneously being introspective and arrogant. His narration is a problem in this comic. I think it undermines everything that goes on. This is the highlight of the comic. Romulus wants Wolverine to remember something that happened in the past. How does he do that? He punches him in the face. Right-hand side middle panel. And this triggers a memory. That's... Christ almighty. Jeff Loeb can write comics. He wrote The Long Halloween, but he just phoned this one in. Cloak and Dagger, who you may or may not have heard of, they are sub-characters in this, and they are exploited by both Wolverine and Sabretooth, and most explicitly Jeff Loeb. They are not characters, they are plot devices, and it's very sad. I've actually forgotten the name of one of them as I was going to make a point. Oh dear. Anyway, moving on to the thing I read immediately afterwards that put me back in a good mood. Batman Superman, I can imagine this is selling very well because, everyone loves Batman. Superman gets a lot of credibility every time he teams up with Batman, which is quite a lot. The premise of this is that Superman has a new bad guy, and he is the Joker. You've got your own Joker. That's how Batman puts it. That's how the synopsis on the back of the book puts it. Some guy is doing unpredictable things just to hurt Superman, just to mess with his head. Uh, and one of the great things about this book, undeniably, is that Batman has this kind of dark humor. Here, Superman's like, "I don't want to be like you, Bruce," and Batman's like, "Neither do I." It's this kind of dynamic is why I think Batman Superman works so well. They both bring great things to the table. Lex Luthor shows up for only one page, page and a half, 3 pages, I should say. He's brilliant. He's got more character, more class, and more intelligence in his writing than everyone in that Wolverine book put together. And for some reason, he's a member of the Justice League. Don't ask me. There's two other stories in this that are unrelated. In the first story, Superman kills his own powers because he has some kind of solar flare ability and actually has to help Batman as Clark Kent fight Killer Croc and Bane. It's very interesting, but it's very gimmicky, but it's interesting and it's entertaining. And in the third story, Batman does something bad. It's not explicitly stated what, but Superman leaves the planet. And this is Batman in a wheelchair calling for Superman and he doesn't come. It's a very interesting examination of, we all assume Batman is the big boy, but like when Superman doesn't finish the deal, Batman ends up in a wheelchair. Right, so sad clown of the week, Simone Mancini, or whatever I said his name is, the artist from Wolverine. I can't decide whether his art is good or not, but the point is it's not good enough to fix the bad writing of the comic book. And he deserves to be in something better. Jeff Loeb just wrote what equates to poor fan fiction. I really can't truly define how bad I think this Wolverine comic is. Not because it's bad, but because it's lazy and mediocre. But that brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 112, and I'll see you next time.